Matthew Ford from Quadcopters Bournemouth, and I would like to thank you for purchasing the TAL-Q Quadcopter. It's a really good unit, rugged. I use it 98% of the time doing my FPV flying, and I haven't had any problems at all with it. Providing you know a bit about RC flying, setting up the controls if you need to change any settings on the controls of the handset, then it's basically plug and play. But I will go over some of the details and actually first setting up and actually from putting the battery on to flying. And also I'll show you what you actually get with the actual kit. So we'll go into more detail in this particular video. The TAL-Q Quadcopter has 980 kV brushless motors, and it also has a 2-axis 2 brushless motor camera gimbal there, so it'll actually keep your footage rock steady. It's a great platform for FPV, and I use it 98% of the time. The battery I use or have on here is a 2200 LiPo, rating at 20C, but I do recommend 45 to 50C rating, and that will just give you a lot more oomph with your flying. So yeah, that's anything I'd basically get if you were doing a lot of work or industrial work and stuff, is to get a 45 to 50C rating 2200 LiPo batteries. I use 10 of them when I'm out in the field, but I also have a rechargeable system in the back of the boot, which I'll show you a bit later on in this video. But anyway, let's get started on what you get and setting up the control. Okay, right, kit bag. What we got in here is basically everything you need for flying and maintaining the quadcopter out in the field. You will get basically a good bit of kit. Is an allimeter. Obviously measures the wind measurements, tells you how many miles per hour the wind is, etc. Also gives you a temperature range. It's a great bit of kit. Also, you've got a little clip-on to your LiPo battery, and obviously give you a warning when it's getting below a certain voltage in the cells there. That's also included. You'll get 2 LiPo batteries, C ratings of 20, and 2200 LiPo batteries. You'll get 2 of these. I've actually included for you with the kit. This particular kit that you purchased doesn't have the camera, so obviously you'll be having the kit without the AE camera, so that doesn't come with it. Also, you've got little bits and pieces, screwdrivers to take the canopy off if you need to, which you probably won't. Once it's been set up during the week, first day of the week, then basically you won't need to take the canopy off at all. But you've got a spanner there to take the props off if you break a prop and change the props. You've got little goodies in there that's going to actually help you stay in the air. Also, we have, last but not least, the thing that controls the system is the Turn G9X, which I swear by. It's a great bit of kit, easy to use, easy to set up, and that's what you'll get to control the TAL-Q. And what I'll do now is actually go into some very sort of minor details on how to actually get the actual TAL-Q flying, and I'll show you how to do that now. Okay, right, the handset. Basically, it has a fail-safe system on here, so if one of the switches are down and you've knocked it in the bag as you're transporting it, it will not turn itself on. It will come up with a switch error message. So for instance, if any of these switches on here are down, let's have if I can get that shown to you, push down. When you switch the unit on, it'll come up with a switch error message. I don't know if I can get that in there, but You probably won't be able to see that on the particular camera. Then there's a continuous beep which tells you there's an error. So basically what you do then is to check all the switches, make sure that they are in the up position. Okay. There you go, up. Then it will stop. Then you're ready to go. Okay. What you must do is make sure that you switch on your handset before you plug in the TAL-Q. This will obviously give it a good link up with the control board. So basically, turn your system on. If it beep, 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 beeps, that means obviously there's one of the switches that have been knocked down in the bag. Check them, make sure everything's up in the upright position, and then you're ready to go. Okay, now the unit is switched on. To actually arm the TAL-Q, what you do is basically push to the right. Okay, that's my right on there. Probably left on the camera, but you push all the way and you'll hear 2 beeps. Okay, and then disarming is at the bottom, all the way to the bottom, to the left. 2 beeps and the quadcopter will be off. Okay, so let's just plug in the quadcopter. Okay, make sure that your handset's on. You'll hear initial beep. Then the motors will acknowledge that they're on. And then now, let's just try and get that. Push accelerator or the throttle. All the way to the right. Beep! That means it's armed. Okay, ready to go. So when you push the throttle up, you're ready to go. Okay? Obviously rudder, left and right. Gimbal control is on the auxiliary 2, which at the top here, which I'll show you on there. That's up and down movement of the actual gimbal of the camera. So you get up and down movement. So if you're in the air and you want to... gimbal control is on the auxiliary 2, which at the top here, which I'll show you on there. That's up and down movement of the actual gimbal of the camera. So you get up and down movement. So if you're in the air and you want to do a down shot of something, you can control it up and down. That's your pitch. It hasn't got a 360 degree axis turn on the actual gimbal, but I just basically turn the TAL-Q towards the actual target shooting area of what you want to take pictures or video of, and then do it that way, then angle the camera down towards that. If you've got the GoPro Black Edition, then obviously you've got the iPhone app or the pad. You can link up with that and see live footage of what you're actually seeing from the actual GoPro, which makes it a lot easier to actually get live footage of what you're shooting, which is good. So let's turn this around. Let's show you the gimbal working here. So you can see that. So that's turning the knob down, up, down, up. Okay, that's all controlled with your handset. Okay. Okay, now the TAL-Q is basically set up ready to go for you. But what I do recommend is basically once a week or once every 2 weeks that you recalibrate the gyros on the board. And how you do this is basically with your flathead screwdriver is undo all the little screws on the canopy here. Let's just do that. Okay. Okay, right, now we're looking at the brains of the TAL-Q. Okay, right. What you do now is then plug in the TAL-Q. Little battery port there. Beep beep. Make sure that's well plugged in. Okay, now let's see, this little cameraman can actually see the circuit board. But you'll come up with the main menu, and what you do is you just press the right hand button there, and then scroll down by using the second in from the right. Okay. To ACC Calibration. Press the right button again, and then it will ask you, do you really want to calibrate, blah blah blah, and then you just press continue. Hands away, and then it's doing its stuff. It's calibrating all the gyros. Please make sure that your quadcopter is rock stable, is level on all axes. Just use a little spirit level on each arm. Make sure that the quadcopter is level, and then it will come up with access OK on 3 of those. And basically you just press the right button again, and then right button again, and then the left end button. That will bring you back to the main menu, the main safe off message, and then basically unplug, and then that's your gyros recalibrated. But I do recommend doing that every 2 weeks, just to make sure that everything's fine, and it does do a system check for you to make sure all your gyros are working perfect. But please do that every possibly 2 weeks, or even every week. Okay, once your gyros have been calibrated and the quadcopter is off, you've unplugged it, then you put the canopy back onto the quadcopter. Make sure the TAL, the word TAL, is at the back, and obviously the Q at the front. But make sure you're linked up with the post as well. So just do the back one first, just gently until that's reasonably. Don't over tighten it, 'cause you'll strip the threads. Look steady, and then work your way around, making sure that it's linking. Each plastic screw is linked up with the post. And what I do is I basically do front and then back, well, back and front rather, and then I do the side ones last. So let's do that now, and just jiggle the canopy about a little bit to get the actual screws linked up with the holes in the posts. Okay, and then you shouldn't have any problem. But do work from back to front and then side, and you shouldn't have a problem. So then make sure they're just finger tight, don't over tighten because you'll strip the threads. Okay, so then that's done. Basically that's it. Make sure also, I do recommend you go around the quadcopter at the end of every week of flying, check every nut and bolt on the quadcopter, make sure they're nice and tight. Otherwise, you don't want any accidents with motors falling off. The vibration does, over a length of time, it can jar these little bolts free or make them loose. So make sure, I do a check every week myself, but that's up to you. Do it every 2 weeks. But I do recommend doing a full check. If you're flying a real helicopter or plane, checks must be done. To make sure that this thing is safe, and obviously, that's not going to have any accidents with motors flying off or whatever. But that is your responsibility, of course. One of the main problems with quadcopters' unstable flights is having propellers that are not balanced properly. You must, obviously employee must get your props balanced before you put them on the quadcopter. Whatever ones that you buy, and whatever size, 9 times out of 10 they're going to be unbalanced. So you can buy these little gadgets, these little prop balancers from eBay, probably about, I don't know, £3–4 each, and it'll save you a lot of money in broken props and also damaged quad. So get yourself a prop balancer, get your props, check all your props before you put them on. Get the little arbor that the prop balancer comes with and just fit it onto the prop. Put the locking nut the other side of it to hold it onto the arbor, and then place it on the prop balancer. This one's balanced because basically it's just floating in the middle. One end is not going down, the other end's not going the other way, so that is balanced. Most of the props that you get will probably be like that, leaning on either this side or leaning down there. That means there's obviously more material on that side than the other, which will cause unstable flights. So what you do then is get a bit of very thin emery paper, and then you keep rubbing that away very gently, the side that's going down, as sound is too weighty, and then keep rechecking it. It's a lengthy process, but I'll tell you it will save you loads of money in broken props and also a broken quadcopter. So you just keep doing it gradually, checking the prop, and eventually it'll be like this. Absolutely, totally nice and stable and nicely balanced. I've done this with all my props before I put them in my kit bag to make sure that every one of them is done. So it took me about an hour, but you know, so what? It's going to save me money. I suggest you do the same if you want to save mega bucks. So there we go, prop balancer, probably about £3 or £4 on eBay, which will probably save you several £100 in broken damages. Hi guys, before I set off I'll make sure that I've got a good rechargeable base station, and the way I do it is I have a battery that will last me all day. And what I do is I have the Platinum Leisure battery, which is mainly for caravans, but basically it will actually run my little LiPo charger quite happily all day without even touching the voltage much. And what I do here is also I've got a 12 volt to 240 230 AC converter, which is plugged into also the battery, and this is the one I use, which is the Genius Power. I got that basically on eBay for about £5, but you can probably get them anywhere there on eBay or another website, and that just clips onto your car battery, and then you can plug ordinary mains voltage plugs in to the converter. This one actually only has 1 point, but you can get them with 2-3 points on. It's a really useful bit of kit, but it does mean obviously if you're out doing FPV that you run out of batteries. I mean, I take 10 batteries, LiPo batteries, 2200s, and obviously when they're out of charge, some of them I come back to the car and stick them on charge, and then basically put them on fast charge, and then you got continuous shooting all day. So you know, that's a little idea if you want to get that set up, but you probably already know that, you already do this sort of things. But anyway, that's a little tip that I just thought I'd shove in this video. Okay, I'm Andy Ford, and we are going to go and fly the TAL-Q. What do you need? One kit bag, everything in. And of course the TAL-Q.